So you might be thinking about getting back into BMX. Or maybe you've been riding for a while and you just want to see how the 24-inch size stacks up against the 20 inches that we grew up with. And if you're here because you've had your eye on the new Monza 24-inch, you're in the right place too. We're going to focus mostly on 20-inch versus 24-inch in this video, but don't worry, we're not ignoring the bigger bikes. I've got a full video on the new 27.5-inch Monza coming soon. Either way, you've probably been feeling that pull, the nostalgia, the memories of bombing around the neighborhood, jumping curbs, hitting dirt trails, or just cruising around with your friends until the street lights came on. But the question pops up, do I get a 20-inch like I had back when I was a kid, or would a 24-inch make more sense now that I'm not a kid? That's exactly what we're diving into today. I started this channel a little over 2 years ago, and this is actually my 98th video. A lot of my videos get the bulk of their views in the first couple of weeks and then they level off, but two of my most consistently watched videos, even now, are one where I broke down why I picked a 24-inch Monza, and then the one where I took it up to the pump track for the first time. That tells me a lot of you are in the same place I was, trying to figure out which size BMX actually makes sense for you right now. So in this video, we're going to talk about who a 20-inch bike is good for. We'll explore why the 24-inch is such a great fit for most older riders getting back into it. We'll unbox and build the brand new 2025 Monza 24-inch, and of course, we'll take it out for a spin. A quick transparency note before we dive in. Thomas at Monza sent this over so that I could include it in this comparison video. I received no payment for making this video, no expectations or requirements, just the freedom to give my honest take as always. Let's start with the 20-inch. These are the bikes that most of us had as kids, and if you're seriously getting into tricks, flatland, park riding, or freestyle sessions, you already know that a modern 20-inch is the right tool for the job. They're small, agile, and flickable, perfect for bar spins, tail whips, endos, fire hydrants, whatever got you stoked back in the day. I've got this 20-inch flatland bike that I use exactly for that, or at least I'm giving it my best shot. Learning tricks at 50 is no joke, but here's the thing. Outside of trick sessions, I never really ride this bike. It's just too small and cramped to cruise around on. You're either standing most of the time, or your knees are cramped when you sit down, and it's just not built for chill rides around town or with family. Quick side note, if you're digging the vibe of the channel and want to support what I do here, check out some of the merch that I've got linked down below. There are a few designs that nod to the golden era of BMX and skate culture, perfect for your next session or just rep in the neighborhood. Now let's talk about the 24-inch and where it sits between the traditional 20-inch size and then the larger 26 or 27.5s. If you're doing long distance rides, big city rideouts, or just want a more chill, efficient cruiser, then bigger bikes like the 26 and the 27.5-inch are great options. They're more comfortable over long distances, and a lot of riders are doing wheelies, manuals, and even tricks on them. Respect to that. And hey, Monza just dropped their first 27.5-inch production model, and I've got a full video on that coming up in a couple of weeks. It's a sick bike and a fun ride for sure. But if you're here because you want that BMX feeling, that throwback sensation of a 20-inch with a bit more room to move, then the 24-inch hits the sweet spot. It's more comfortable than a 20-inch, and it's more lively and responsive than a 26 or 27.5, and it gives you just enough of that old school BMX feel to make you feel like you're 13 again without all the back pain. The 24-inch size bridges that gap. It's comfortable enough to ride around the neighborhood or with your kids, but still playful and responsive when you want to hop a curb, hit a dirt jump, or go to the pump track. So if you're not planning on doing daily trick sessions and you just want to ride for fun, maybe relive some of that old BMX energy, this might be your bike. All right, let's get this 2025 assembled. One thing about these Monza bikes is they are very well packaged. It's pretty amazing. All right, the threads on these bolts here are pre-greased, so we don't have to worry about adding more grease to them. So that's great, saves us a step. We've got these washers with the clips on them to prevent the wheel from falling off if they ever come. The bolts come loose, the nuts come loose. That'll just make it easier to ensure that these are properly seated all the way down. Okay, one of the other cool things about Monza, especially the 24-inch, is they come with 2 seat post options. So by default, you've got a layback seat post, but they also include a straight one if you would rather have a straight. I know a lot of people prefer a straight, a lot of people go layback, but I'm gonna go layback on mine. So I think before we stick this in, we'll put a little bit of grease on there to prevent it from sticking in the future. All right, so we've got the seat on, the handlebars on, the brake cable's connected. So I think we need to get the pedals still, and then we'll get rid of these reflectors and stuff, and then get the brakes dialed in. All right, these are VP pedals with the Monza logo on there, which is really cool. All right, so we've got left and right. Put a little bit of grease on each of them. Go ahead and get rid of these reflectors. I think that's pretty good. Whoops, I had it. There we go. Front brake's good. All right, back brake's dialed in. Okay, so we're almost done. The bike is almost ready. I've got a little bit of fine tuning left. I went ahead and moved the clamp from the top tube over here to the seat post so that we can put the Monza pads on here. But before we do that, I'll go ahead and just tighten everything down, make sure that everything's straight and just looking good. I still need to adjust the brake levers and make sure that the stem here is straight and tight, make sure that the crank arms are secured well. But otherwise, this thing is ready to go. It looks beautiful. I'm excited, so let's go ahead and get the pads on here. I love these Monza pads. They're so cool. And then got the one for the handlebars up here. Yeah, beautiful. That is one beautiful bike. I'm really excited about this. Okay, so this bike is so sick. I've had quite a few bikes in different colors in recent years, but this is my first white one, and I'm super stoked on it. The white with white mags really pops. Let me point out a few of the changes for 2025, and probably the most noticeable change here is the snowflake sprocket. It really adds that old school touch, but the biggest functional upgrade is the mid-bottom bracket with tubular chromoly cranks. Everything about this bike says built to ride, not put it on display and rarely touch it. Sorry, Trickstar over in the corner. I love you though. Now real talk for a second. The only hesitation some people might have with this bike is the price. It's definitely not a cheap entry-level model, and I totally get that, but it's also not built to be one. This isn't some mass-produced department store bike that you'd find at Dick's Sporting Goods or Walmart. It's a high-quality, small batch build with premium parts. You get what you pay for, and in this case, you're getting something built to last, perform, and feel special. All right, let's take the bike for a test ride. Taking this bike out reminded me of why I went with the 24-inch in the first place. It's comfortable to cruise on, fun to take up to the pump track or maybe hit a trail with, and then afterwards my legs aren't wrecked like they would be with something smaller. The 24-inch Monza hits that balance between comfort and BMX fun. It's not meant to be a trick bike or a distance cruiser. It's just made for riding and having fun, just like we did back in the day. So if you're still debating between a 20-inch and a 24-inch, here's the bottom line. If you're primarily doing tricks, go 20-inch. If you want that BMX feel back, but you also want to enjoy riding again as an adult, the 24-inch is hard to beat. And if you're leaning more towards distance or long city rides, keep an eye out for that upcoming video on Monza's new 27.5-inch. That bike's built for those vibes. But for most of us who just want to ride and have fun again, the 24-inch is where it's at. Big thanks to Thomas and the team at Monza for continuing to make bikes that bring the spirit of BMX into adulthood. And if this helped you out, drop a comment below. Let me know what you ride, what you're thinking of picking up, or what questions you still have. Until next time, keep the spirit alive and the wheels turning.